Hello everyone, welcome back to Learning with Dogs. My name's Kristen, and today we'll be talking about how to travel and when to travel with your new puppy. New puppies are so much fun. They are bundles of energy, but they're also a lot of work. So when you decide you want to go camping or travel with your puppy, my first thing I always recommend to people is consider your time. Do you have the time investment to be able to focus and reinforce with your puppy while you're on this other trip? If the answer is yes, then I highly recommend you take your puppy with you because it is a fabulous opportunity to socialize and expose your puppy to things that you want to do with them in the future. The sooner we get them out and exposed to what we want to do with them in the future, the easier it is for them to adapt into that lifestyle as an adult. Every puppy comes with different amounts of background and foundation to their handling depending on the breeder or the shelter that they came from. So when we consider the generalization of taking a dog out for experience, you do need to consider each individual dog because there are some dogs out there that really would just rather stay at home, and going out on adventures, while it's super fun for you, it's really, really stressful for them. I'll have future videos about how to identify those stressors in a dog and understand when your dog is asking for a break in your activities. So we'll touch on that later, but my initial recommendation is to consider who your dog is. What is your experience with them? Is camping and being around other dogs and other people, is that really going to be a pleasant experience for them? So if you say yes, then I recommend you go out and adventure with your puppy as soon as possible after bringing them home. The reason for that is the younger they are, the easier experiences are for them to log, the less stressful they are, and the more adaptable their brain is. As we get older, even if we think about the human brain, I've met many children who can speak multiple languages simultaneously. And it always amazes me, but they learn it at a really, really young age, and when the brain is able to take in that information easily. If you look at the average adult and you try to start teaching them a new foreign language, it's kind of almost like teaching a brick for a while. Learning does happen, but it's a lot slower, especially at the beginning. So when we're working with our young puppies, the more we can show them and expose them to, the easier it'll be for them as they become adults. So when you're considering going camping or on an adventure with your puppy, I think there are a few things that you need to make sure your puppy is fully experienced in so that you can be successful. And the first and most important of that is having a safe way for your dog to sleep at night. So I strongly recommend crate training for your dogs. If you are only using crate training and crate time for when you're camping, that's perfectly acceptable. We just want to do an occasional reminder lesson for our dogs because if they only practice it when we're camping, it sometimes that might make it more stressful for them to go into the crate. So if your dog is usually really good about the crate and you use it just basically for camping, then my recommendation is even just once a month, put your puppy and your dog into the crate for about an hour, just so they can get a reminder lesson on what it's like to just lay nice and quiet and relax in the crate. Choose a time when your dog's a little more tired. Don't do it when they want to be running zoomies around the house because that'll make it a little more difficult for them to relax. So the idea is just reinforcing relaxing and being nice and quiet. So giving them the interactive feeding toys while in the crate is also a really great idea. Gives them something to do and helps make the crate seem a little more fun. It's if they get something really fabulous when they go in there. So I highly recommend bringing a crate when you go on any adventure with your dog, just in case you need it. There's easy fold down crates. Find one that's appropriate for the type of dog you have. If you have one that needs a more sturdy crate, make sure you do that appropriately. But some dogs are perfectly fine in just like a soft-sided crate, which is great because it's really light and easy to travel with. The other thing I really like for camping is a trolley. So a trolley is just like a line, a rope that's tied to two ends. So you could use like a vehicle and a tree to tie each end to, and then your dog has a system that you can tie a leash to, and they can move up and down the rope. So that works great for camping. We use those all the time, and you can separate them out so that if you have multiple dogs, they don't get tangled up. And the trolley is a really great way to have your dog be able to move around more, but not be running off or getting into stuff they shouldn't. So with the trolley, you want to do some before preparation work, and that would involve teaching your dog to tether and relax while on a leash that is not being held by someone. So I will have a video coming on that, so look for that in the future here, but knowing how to tether is important to be able to do the trolley safely. So that's something you want to do at home before you take your dog out. If you plan on having your dog out at the water and you want them to join you in different activities, then you can start preparing for all of that while your puppy's young. I've trained several of our dogs to kayak with us, and they absolutely love it. But we started them young, and it makes it a lot easier because, again, that brain's more adaptable and experiences kind of, it takes a different, easier approach in the young puppy's brain. So as you're working with your dog, don't forget all the treats. You need lots of really good treats, especially if you're doing something like teaching your dog to go in a kayak. We'll have a lesson on that in the future as well, but that's something that really requires a lot of good treats, making sure your dog is comfortable and happy the entire time, because if we just kind of throw them in the kayak and it becomes a scary experience, then they're not going to want to go back in there again. But if we make it really fun, even if it might be a little bit stressful, we make it fun, then they will, with food and treats or toys, then they'll be a lot more willing to get back in again. So I'll have a video on kayaking with your dog in the future. So the other thing to make sure you have with your dog is a well-fitted harness. I don't recommend ever tethering your dog with this collar. It can be incredibly dangerous, and also they can usually slip out of their collars. Make sure they have a well-fitted harness that they can't get out of. So if you're using a trolley system, it would be attached to a harness. So as far as other things to have when you're traveling with your dog, I always do recommend some kind of first aid kit so that you can deal with an immediate issue and then get your dog to a vet. And just be aware of predators and such, like rattlesnakes or coyotes and those as you're camping, just to make sure your dog stays safe. So if signs are posted, make sure you keep your dogs on trails and such so that they do remain safe when you're out and about. But other than that, it's just really about having fun and loving the experience with your dog. So go out as soon as possible is always my recommendation. Have fun with your dog. Set them up for success though. You need to do a few preparations. Also, I would add to that list actually would be some really good leash work. You want your dog to be able to walk comfortably with you. If your dog is dragging you down the walk every trail you go on, you're going to be tired, you're not going to have fun. It gets super frustrating. So use the treats. Go look at my walking video and reinforce walking over and over and over with your puppy before you go out, because if you don't get it mastered in your house and your front yard and your backyard, you're never going to be successful on the trail. So we need to start practicing to get them ready. Just remember, those Olympic athletes don't just one day wake up and show up at the Olympics. They have to work from kindergarten level all the way up to the Olympics, increment by increment. And we need to do that with our puppies as they go through different experiences. Don't just drop them one day at the Olympics. Sometimes they need to practice, and sometimes we even need to repeat a grade, and there's no problem with that. You just slow down, let them have another opportunity to practice, and then they'll have it even better. So have fun with your dog. I can't wait to hear about all of your adventures you do, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time on Learning with Dogs.